Welcome to the Kickass Couples Podcast. This is the place where we help committed couples who want to level up their marriage experience newfound clarity, hope, and confidence. We're Matthew and Kim, co-hosts and husband and wife.
In 26 years together, we've seen a lot and never thought it could be as good as it is right now. We're here to help you successfully navigate the messy, dirty, and wonderful world of marriage.
We believe all couples deserve and are capable of experiencing an extraordinary and fulfilling marriage. And each week, we're bringing you life lessons from real-life successful couples to help you grow and strengthen your relationship.
And now, let's dive into today's episode.
So grateful to be here with Brad and Stephine White today.
It's the commitment to doing the hard stuff.
That's what marriage is two people that learn how to forgive.
I didn't want to be driven. I didn't want to be told what I was supposed to do.
I don't want to live in friction.
I think the fight should be fighting for our marriage.
We'll get started right after this message. If you want to learn how to experience the best, most fulfilling year of your marriage, we invite you to pre-order Matthew's new book, Kickass Husband, Winning at Life, Marriage, and Sex. You can get it at MatthewPHoffman.com. Again, that's MatthewPHoffman.com. And now, back to the show.
And we are here with the wonderful Stephanie. Do you go by Stephanie? I hear him say Steph. I don't know if that's a term of endearment or like that private name kind of thing. So we'll call you Stephanie if that's what is that what you prefer?
Yeah, that's
all right. Great. I go by Matthew too, but people call me Matt, so it's all good. We are so grateful to be here with Brad and Stephine White today, and we're going to have a lot of fun. It's an easy, casual conversation, and the whole goal of the Kick-Ass Couples podcast is just to share with other couples what works and what doesn't work, and kind of what your focus points are and how long you guys have been able to do it. How long have the two of you been together? How long have you been married?
You don't know?
I know. I don't want to be the one to speak. You go ahead.
25 years in November.
November 30th will be 25 years.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well done.
So that's a big one. So Brad, have you been planning big time for
Yeah,
number 25?
right.
What do they call
Absolutely.
25? Is that
That's
The silver, right?
Silver, right?
Yeah.
Silver,
Yeah.
man.
How about you guys? How long y'all been?
So 26 years we've been
Oh,
married. It'll be
congratulations.
27 in November too.
as well. November, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. So we'll be 25 years. It's crazy.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you very
great.
much. Same to you.
Absolutely. Well, so we want to know, we think we know, but we want to hear you guys say in your own words, what makes you two a kick-ass couple?
I would say it's the commitment to doing the hard stuff, to forgiving when you don't want to forgive, to forgetting when you don't want to forget, to just keep moving forward.
I would say it simply that Steph is a great forgiver. And, that's what marriage is two people that learn how to forgive.
Mhm.
That's what it is.
That's great.
But-
Yeah, no, I agree. Gotta forgive, because if we hold on to stuff, man, it's like poison, right?
Exactly
Yeah.
right. I mean, anybody that lasts a long time in marriage and have a good marriage, they're two great forgivers.
Yeah.
That's just what it takes.
And I think too, it's learning to see the good when you don't want to see the good. It's learning to
Mhm.
move past and see the good, and keep remembering why you fell in love and how you fell in love, what you like about that person,
Mhm.
what you really enjoy, why you enjoy being with them,
Mhm.
why you became friends and lovers in the first place, how you fell in love, and keep that spark going.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Very nice. I'm a firm believer that we bring to our marriage a lot of our history and a lot of our past.
Mhm.
And our families of origins play a really big role in who we are when we come to a relationship. And sometimes it's wonderful. Sometimes it's been challenging. We've witnessed challenging things, and sometimes it's even been trauma. And so I'm curious, and either one of you can go first, but I'd love to know a little bit about your family of origin and what love looked like in your family growing up.
You go first.
Okay. I was raised, Brad and I both come from pastors' homes, and we are pastors. My dad was a very firm, type A driven, and he was a Marine and a pastor. So he was very driven, and my mom took the back seat. So I was used to that, but I'm a type A. So I didn't want to be driven. I didn't want to be told what I was supposed to do. I didn't want that in my life. And then, so we had a lot of rubs when Brad wanted to take the lead in our marriage, which the Bible clearly states that there needs to be one. And I mean, even everybody knows there needs to be one head in a household. I mean, there needs to be one person that makes the ultimate decision. So it was very hard at first trying to find the rhythm of life for our home. And so I kind of fought that a little bit and tried to buck the saddle, so to speak. And so the upbringing we had to go through some rough up and downs with my upbringing. I didn't want to be told, no, we really don't need to be. And Brad is very gracious with it, but I didn't want to be told no, pretty much.
Yeah, and I grew up, just like her mom and dad had been married a long time and been faithfully committed. I grew up in a home the same way. It was just the opposite of roles.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was a pastor and was a great pastor. My dad had a very laid back personality. He was incredibly wise, incredibly fun, faithful, godly man. But my mom was very, very strong. Great girl, awesome, but just very strong. And my dad would often take a back seat. Now, my dad would draw lines on critically important things, but I grew up seeing my dad lay down so much on restaurants, or we're going to do this or that. And it was all the time. Mom just ruled the roost on a lot of things. And so I brought into marriage somewhat of a disrespect for women, not in the sense of I didn't respect women at all, but like I was not going to be a doormat that just chased my wife around, and my whole goal in life 24/7 was that she was happy. If that meant if I had to come home, I would watch my dad, because I worked with my dad in my adult life before I moved to Tampa. And my mom would call the office if there was, something wrong at the house, there's a cockroach or she wants to do something. And he would just leave the office and just go home and spend the afternoon. I mean, he would do that regularly. And I was like, people just can't do that. Like, I mean, you just can't do that all the time. You got to work, you know what I mean? And so I determined I'm not going to do that. So that brought that baggage in, which means, like Steph said, she didn't want to be led, and I wanted to do all the leading. So
that sounds like that sounds like a good recipe.
It was very combustible.
So we had to learn, and I made lots of mistakes, and she may have made a few, but we've, you learn, man. And Steph I'm a better man because of Steph and because of what I've learned from her. And, that's our family. I mean, I don't have any like direct trauma from my family, my mom and dad or immediate family. Do you have any?
No, I just think because we both we're both type A's. Yeah. It's hard for one of us to back down.
Yeah.
So we really have to put our relationship first when we want to put our relationship first.
Yeah.
You have to say, what is more important? Me saying this, you're more important, or my opinion?
Yeah.
So we really have to, and it took maturity growing up, because we weren't, we were older when we got married. We weren't babies when we got married, but it took a lot of growing in our relationship to say, this isn't as important as I feel like it is.
Yeah, just learning how to communicate. I mean, I think, I mean, just it was trying to get my words right on this because I want to say it correctly. But like Steph, one of the things I struggled with was Steph had an opinion on everything. And so
don't we all?
That's right.
And I like to verbalize it.
Opinions on everything. And even on things that I would think, like, how do you even, I just couldn't get it.
And I like to be contrary.
And Steph likes to give the other side of it. So if I think we need to make a right turn, she's going to talk about why a left turn should be thought about. And so, and me, my weakness is when I decide on a right turn, I don't want to hear anything. I want to take a right turn. You know what I'm saying? So it's just learning. I mean, that's just, those are things, those have been the bumps, and that's boiled down to what family we're going to spend Christmas with and Thanksgiving with, and who's this, and in the will, who gets the kids, and and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
All that fun stuff.
So it sounds like you guys each brought some stuff from your families of origin that you said, no way in heck are we doing it this way. Right.
Right.
Or
exactly.
We're absolutely gonna, we seem to take good and bad, right? And it helps form who we are and bring it together. And that leads, one of the first things you said, Stephanie, you mentioned about commitment when we said what makes you kick ass. And that's one of our 3 C's. And we want to kind of jump into that a little bit. And so, Stephanie, I'd love to hear from you. What does commitment look like to you in your relationship?
Commitment is not letting go. Like Brad says, it's a bulldog on a dish rag. We are not going to give up on our relationship. We go to counseling. We are avid believers in counseling. We are not going to give up on our on our marriage, on our kids, on our friendships, on our family. We are not going to give up, whether it takes work, money, whatever it takes, whatever we need to do. Our marriage is worth it. And so the commitment to get better, to better ourselves, because I can't change him. Because, after 25 years, I've finally learned I cannot change him, but I can change me. And so the commitment to do better. How can I make a better Stephanie? How can I do better? Even if I don't like what he's doing, but I can do better. So the commitment to just do better, to get better.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for us, divorce is never on the table. And so I think if it is an option, it will be an option.
Yeah.
And so it's not even on the table. I mean, like, we don't go there. We're going to work this out, and we're in it. And so for us, this is something, and I've taught this too, is at the end of the day, I try to make the 75-year-old decision.
Yeah.
So I'm 49, just turned 49 a week ago. When I'm 75 and my kids are grown and they have families of their own, and I'm in that season of life, what decision will I be glad that I made? Because by then your looks are gone, you're all that. And so what are you looking back on? I look back, what do I want to hand to my kids, to my grandkids when I'm 75 years of age? Because we make dumb decisions when we're 35. And we think we'll be 35 forever. Yeah. But see, I pastor people of all different ages. And when you're 75, 85, that's where you're living with the compound interest of the decisions that you've made.
Right.
And so for us, in those moments when our kids were little, and we had twins and a 2-year-old at the same time, and it was starting a church from scratch, and it was nuts. We went back to that. Like, this will not be forever. What at 75 will I be glad, or what will we at 75 be glad that we did?
I love hearing about the way you are both proactive in your marriage in terms of seeking counseling or getting what you need to be a better couple. I think it's really important for our listeners to know and to hear that that's okay. In fact,
Absolutely.
it's really good to do that. It's healthy.
Yeah. I like to see it like you get the oil changed on your car.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't mean you have a bad car. It doesn't mean that you didn't make a good investment. It means you're taking care of your car. Every car needs an oil change. Every set of tires needs to be rotated, right?
Sure, it's a tune-up.
So, exactly right. And so you need that. And I think one of the biggest hallmarks of maturity is self-awareness. And so, like, counseling helps you grow in self-awareness and being aware, this is why I'm responding the way I am. These are tendencies in my life. These are triggers in my life. Because maturity, I mean, what makes a parent more mature than their child is not their age. It's their awareness. They're aware of certain dangers. They're aware of what financial decisions like this turn into. Relationship, they have awareness. And so that's what brings maturity. I think counseling brings that. And listen, we're pastors, and listen, I so believe in counseling. I'm too much for one counselor. I need like a whole team. They got to have a team approach with me. I got so many issues. Like one person they end up like quitting.
Yeah, you exhaust
They
them.
can't take it anymore.
But when you get counseling and you realize your deficiencies and you can work on your weaknesses, then you can communicate with your spouse.
Right.
This is where I'm struggling. And your spouse, the openness that it brings when you realize, that is a weakness. I see that. But it bonds your marriage so much more.
In counseling, a good counselor will help you with a strategy. So it doesn't remove problems, but okay, so we're facing this problem again. Now with counseling, we have a game plan.
Yeah.
So like with Steph and I, one of the things we learned is we're not going to hold anything in. We're going to talk about it. And we've learned like there's a good way to deal with things. So like one of the ways we do it is we go out to dinner, and we don't do it at night before we go to bed. We don't do it during the middle of the workday. I mean, we're going to go to dinner. We're going to talk about it. Have a good dinner in a well-lit place. It's not dark and oppressive. And we talk it out. And so learning those strategies and not doing it screaming and hollering before you go to bed. And, you're just like in a restaurant, you're going to be more respectful. You just are. And it's just a little, and I encourage people too, like if you can go to lunch at a restaurant where the sun is shining into the restaurant and have a difficult conversation, you're going to be in a better mood. You're going to be more receptive. It's a better atmosphere than sitting there with your kids running around and the dishes the sink full of dishes and laundry piled up on the couch and all the above,
When it comes to creating a kick-ass marriage, do you ever wonder how you're doing? We found that there are 13 key components that make up a thriving relationship, which is why we've created the Kickass Assessment. In this powerful free tool, you'll learn what they are and how you and your spouse are ranking in each one. And you'll get recommendations that will help you start improving today. To get your results, simply visit MatthewPHoffman.com. Again, that's MatthewPHoffman.com. It's time to start kicking ass. Let's go.
We're firm believers that communication is really important. I mean, after commitment, we really think that communication is next. And we've kind of segued into that a little bit already, but tell me a little bit more about how you communicate. I know you go out to have a nice meal together in a well-lit place, and it's a time for you each to really connect. What else do you do throughout the day or throughout the week to communicate with each other?
We try to set aside some space to be together by ourselves. We've got now, even when our kids were little, every day we would have time, like a timeout space just for Brad and I, because we have now our kids our twins are 20 and our son is 23 and he's out of the house, but our twins are back from college. But we have time where it's just he and I, where we get to look at each other in the face and kind of go through our day and what's coming up and things that he and I need to plan out and talk about. But that face to face, flip your phone over so you don't see the front, and it's where, because that's a love language for me, is the attention, where I can see your eyeballs. Listening, focus is a big one for me. Or I want your focus, I want your eyes, and almost the McDonald's where you repeat after me, my order. What did I just say? Are you listening to me? So, where he and I sit together and say, okay, this is coming up. This is what we've got to do. And this is, but if it's a big conversation, we do go out and say, this is what I'm feeling. My feelings, I was hurt when you said this. And the reason why I was hurt, because we all know that guys say some things that will hurt your feelings, and it completely goes over their head. So we will have those moments where we sit by, we try to not bring the kids involved, so they don't have to be witnesses. They're not in the jury, but where it's just he and I, and, my feelings were hurt when you said that. And, most of the time, you mea culpa, I didn't even know that would have hurt your feelings. Like, yeah, when you said that, you don't have sisters, so you don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Right.
but we've had several conversations like that.
Yeah. I think, for us, I think for me, learning how to really apologize is a key part of communication. So, not saying, so Steph says to me, that hurt my feelings. I used to say, well, I'm sorry that you're hurting, and I'm sorry that you're hurting. Well, that's not an apology. That is, I'm really don't agree with the fact that you're hurting, and it's kind of getting under my skin that you brought it to me. So I'm going to give you a patronizing statement. Where the right way is, I am so sorry for what I said. What I said was wrong. I disrespected you. I took you for granted in that. I am sorry. I own that. And what I'm going to do to change on that is this. And I ask you to forgive me. And owning, I just think that's huge. We put out a lot of little fires that could have become dumpster fires with that, and owning it. And Steph's been gracious to forgive. And, we just talk it out. I think, it sounds simple, but we don't let things fester. Like if she's irritated me on something, now I'm not talking about there was a dish left out or something small, but if it's really something, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to bring it up. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to tell her how I feel, and she does the same with me. I think so much just gets buried, man. You stuff down, and it was a level 2 that you could have dealt with, and it's a level 15 when it comes out.
Sure, because you're sitting and stewing, and it builds into a mountainous issue.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you guys, it sounds like you've been pretty successful in not letting things become those mountains, but agreed with each other that you each have the right and permission to have those difficult conversations, which could be directed at one individual or the other.
Yeah. And I think,
we're not perfect, because back to some of it, I've had to learn to apologize, because I did not grow up with good apologizers. Like, my parents did not, they did things. They acted out their apologies. Like, they would do something to hurt the other's feelings, and they would make a dessert, or they would go buy a gift. And I've had to learn how to say, I'm sorry. because I always say, I'm sorry. Yeah, and that would be it.
Yeah.
But I've had to learn to really own my junk, to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean the way that sounded. I was thoughtless when I said that. I didn't mean what I said. I should have said it a different way. I don't feel the way I don't feel about you what I said. So I've had to learn how to own up to my junk on that, because I was not an apologizer.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, an immature thing that I'll do from time to time, I got to work on it. I'll sulk over something. I'll get angry, and I'll just like, because I'll not want to talk about it. I'll want to stew about it. I want to stew on it. And I have to say, no, this is not right. This is not mature. You got to step up and deal with this and own it.
Well, and that's a great way to get into our next question, which is conflict resolution. We all have, whether it's something very big or something very small, there's going to be conflict, and it may even be daily. But how do you handle the blow ups? How do you handle when something has really gone wrong and you guys need to get back to being a couple, because now you're in different corners, right? You're fighting corners. What does it look like in your relationship to resolve conflict?
Again, I think the communication piece, trying to see the most important thing, the priorities, your couple priorities have to be in line. What is the most important thing to you as a couple? And your priorities have to line up. And then you discuss, you see where the disagreement is. Is it that big of a deal? Once you're discussing it, like, if you hurt your feelings and it just continues to metastasize, it just grows, but you got to rip the Band-Aid off. You've got to just say, honey, I've got to tell you, when you said this, it hurt my feelings. Or when you did not do this, it caused animosity. But when you confront in love, and they're receiving of it, it's what I found is the manner in which I do it is the manner in which he receives it.
Yeah. And I think it starts with two people that in their heart want to resolve this. That at the end of the day, I don't want to live in friction with Stephanie. I don't want to live where we don't have peace. We can disagree on something and not be disagreeable. And we can disagree on something and still have a great relationship. I genuinely know she does. Well, we want to resolve things. I mean, we get upset. You do have blow ups. We just went through a major change in our life where I felt like we needed to sell our home and downsize because of COVID and other things. And that was major, man. That's probably the biggest, most difficult leadership move in our marriage. I mean, I didn't force it. I mean, we worked on it together, but I mean, I cashed in a lot of chips on that, a lot. I mean, that was a huge move for her. Massive, massive, massive move. And there was, we had to walk through a lot of things. I mean, and still walking through a lot of things. And you just gotta talk it, and you gotta resolve it, and you gotta work through it. And that's how we do it. Like I said, we do a lot of meals. And Steph, genuinely, I always know Steph wants to resolve.
And at the end of the day, it's about the commitment. What's the most important thing to you? Is it the fight and being right? Or is it your spouse and going the distance?
Yeah. And marriage, if you'll think on this, marriage is a journey of learning to do what you don't want to do. That if you boil marriage down, that's what it is. It's learning to do what you don't want to do. It's learning to eat foods that you didn't want to eat. to go to places, to be in a family with people that you didn't grow up with, and you don't even like them necessarily, but they're your wife's or your husband's family, and you learn to watch a movie.
inherited
You don't
them.
wanna-
Yes.
Exactly right.
In-laws and the outlaws, right?
Yes.
That's in-laws and the outlaws, exactly right. So, but it's just what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that, and one of the things that we don't want to do is we don't want to admit where we're wrong.
Mhm.
We don't want to give up ground. But once again, what are you going to be glad you did at 75?
Yeah.
So what I hear you say, I hear a theme popping out here, and I hear you saying, a lot of it comes back to commitment, right? And Stephanie, you
Yeah.
said, which I love, what's most important to you, right?
Mhm.
And I think a tenet I bet you all would agree with is that the number one human relationship that you guys have is with each other. And,
Yes.
and if you give it that priority, then you're going to
Mhm.
make those decisions for what's best for the us, not for the
Mhm.
I
Right.
or the you
Mhm.
necessarily. And
Right.
Mhm.
it seems like you guys are walking that
Mhm.
talk. And also in the conflict resolution, as we've been talking about for a couple of minutes here, if you have the commitment, do you guys both feel safe that that argument, that decision isn't going to have ending power because you're in it?
Yeah.
There's no nuclear scenario here.
That's
No.
right. There's no ripcord.
No.
We're in it. We're in it for the long haul, and we want our kids
Mhm.
to have a mom and dad that stay committed.
Mhm.
We want our grandkids to have that. We've benefited
Yeah.
from parents that stayed together. My mom and dad were married 46 years when my dad passed away. Her parents have been married 50 something years.
Yeah.
You know,
54.
54 years. So I mean, that's just it's just a huge stabilizing factor in our
Mhm.
life, and we want to give that. And there's just nothing. I mean, there are grounds. Of course, we're Christ followers and follow the teachings of the Bible, but I mean, there are biblical grounds for divorce, and then there are times I think that it's warranted, but those should be the exception, not the rule.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. I think the fight should be fighting for our marriage.
Yeah.
That's the right thing to fight for. So we've been
Mhm.
talking about 3 of our 13 pillars here, the commitment, communication, and conflict resolution. And there's another 10 on that list if you all have it, or if not, I can remind you of it.
I've got it on my phone, but I didn't bring my phone over here.
No worries. So I'm gonna read these out to you, and then you all tell me, just as I read them, just think about them for a minute. We've got trust and honesty, patience, intimacy, lasting love, selflessness, unity, servant leadership, faith and moral code, appreciation, and security. As I read those out to you, I'm curious, Stephanie, which one of those kind of jumps out at you? You go, oh yeah, that one's important to me and to your relationship.
I think for me, it's the daily patience, the walking it through. What does it really mean to walk every day in love, to really love your spouse, the patience of it, because it takes patience to love somebody, to really stay with them, to patiently love somebody. I think that's so, when you're really staying with someone, it takes patience throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout life. You're loving the same person through the ups and downs of their life, of your life, whether they're sick, healthy, it's just patience. You're staying with them.
Okay.
You're loving them.
So for
For
lasting
me,
love, there's got to be a
Yeah.
lot of patience, is what I hear you saying, for that love to last.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Brad.
I think trust and honesty. One of the things I love about Steph, I love a lot about her, but one of the things that's been such a blessing to me is I've never one moment that we've been married ever not been able to trust her completely. Like when I'm on the road, when we've gone through tough times, when we've gone through difficult times financially, like I've never had that worry that I better get this fixed, or she's going, or who is she? I couldn't reach her by phone. What is she doing? And I've never, ever, ever had to worry about that. And that she is just, I know she's solid. I know that, and she's honest, and she's loyal. Steph is so loyal, man. She's the most loyal friend of anybody. Like, I mean, I would walk away from friendships years before Steph. Steph is the most loyal. Like, I mean, she's just like, she's awesome with that. And I think it's just huge, that honesty, that trust, that is just, you can sleep well at night. You can get through a lot of things because trust is the foundation of every relationship. If you don't have trust, I mean, you're not going to have anything else.
Yeah, there's so much security in a relationship when there is true trust and honesty. So
Yeah.
we have this idea that we talk about in our podcast, and it's called Spillover Thinking. And we really believe that when you're having success in one area of your life, and for instance, as a couple, when you're having really true success in your relationship with one another, that just spills over into everything else that you do and you touch. Can you talk to me a little bit about that and how maybe some spillover has occurred in your relationship?
I feel like our kids are part of the spillover. Like I feel like it's a legacy for that's a part of our. I mean, they're doing so. I mean, knock on wood, they're young yet, but they're good kids, and I'm very grateful for our kids that they love us and they like to be with us, which is amazing to me that they like to be around us, and they're our friend, not buddies, because there's still two of them are under our roof, but they like to be with us. And that's part of the blessing of being together as a married couple and being able to laugh and have fun and being friends. I feel like being a married couple, the best part is being your best friend, being with your best friend and being able to laugh. And I feel like having our kids around us and they see us laugh together, that the spillover is our kids want to be with us.
Yeah.
They don't want to just be with their buddies, but they kind of want to be with mom and dad because they're a little fun and they enjoy being with us. That to me is the best spillover that I've experienced.
To you all as parents, definitely a testament that they want to hang out with you. They want to be with you. That says a lot about how you have been with them and how you've raised them. Can you think of other areas that some spillover has occurred?
I think in our ministry, Steph and I have always been very honest, and with our kids, they saw us argue and they've seen us resolve things. Right. They did not see a perfect marriage. We did not keep everything away from them. Obviously some things, but we lived it out in the open. And so they see that they've seen us be open and all that. Now, as far as spillover in our ministry, take that same principle. Like, we've just been honest with people for 20 years that we don't have a perfect marriage. And here are things that we've learned. And I think it gives hope to people and spillover to people that there is no perfect marriage. There is, like, I've been honest in front of thousands of people, honest about going to counseling, honest about mistakes I've made, and honest about how we resolve certain things, lots of humor with it. And it empowers people. There's a spillover that people are empowered that it's okay to get help. And like that this couple, Brad and Stephanie, they don't have it all together and they don't have it all right. And they don't go with a marriage that never argues and fights. I even will tell people, listen, if you say you never argue or fight, I think you're lying.
Yeah.
I think you're either lying or one of you is just a doormat and just enables the other one. So I think it's just, it just spills over like that.
We just want to say thank you so much and express our gratitude for who you are and what you do in the Tampa community as pastors. We're really grateful to you today, especially for opening up and being vulnerable with us, with our listeners, and giving us a little bit of insight into what makes you kick ass and what what makes love last, right?
Yeah, it's been
absolutely.
great. Great to get to know you, Stephanie. I'm excited. Brad, always good to reconnect with you. It's been a fun journey, and so grateful for you guys being vulnerable and sharing, and a lot of great pearls. So we look forward to bringing it back to you so you can share with others too.
I love it. And you're very welcome for what you said, but thank you for inviting us,
for having us,
and just that you would give your time and energy and resources to make stuff like this happen is awesome.
Build marriages.
And we're so proud of you guys.
This is awesome.
We love the Hoffmans, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Guys.
We'll keep it going, man. Thanks.
We'll
All right, man.
have you back.
We'll speak to you
All
guys
right.
soon.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.
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 That's all we've got for this episode of the Kickass Couples Podcast. If you like the content of this show, you'll love Matthew's upcoming book, Kickass Husband: Winning at Life, Marriage, and Sex. To receive a digital mini book of quotes and images from the book, all you have to do is rate this show and leave a review in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Then email us a screenshot of your review at podcast@kickasscouplespodcast.com, and we'll get it over to you right away.
Until next time, remember, happily ever after doesn't just happen, it's on purpose.